Now we're moving on to Module 3, Lesson 6. This is dilations on the coordinate plane. So basically what we're going to be showing you today is how we can use the multiplicative effect of a scale factor on a point in order to find that dilation. So if we take a look at exercise 1, this is on page 26 of your binder. Point A is located at 7, 9 on the coordinate plane, and it's dilated from the origin by a scale factor of 6. So what is the coordinates of point A prime? So the first thing that you need to know are your coordinate plane points. So point A is 7, 9. So 7 is actually our x coordinate, 9 is our y coordinate. Okay, so we need to take each one of those and we're going to use the scale factor on each one of those points. So what I actually have to do is take my x, which is 7, my x point is 7, and I multiply that times 6. And the reason that I'm multiplying it times 6 is because 6 is my scale factor. Okay, and whenever I do that, whenever I actually solve that, my answer is 42. And then I do the same thing for my y coordinate. My y coordinate is 9. I multiply it times 6, which is my scale factor. 6 times 9 is 54. Alright, so the reason that I know that these numbers are going to be very, very large is because my scale factor is 6, which is way more than 1. And you should know that by the time we get to this lesson, that whenever we are enlarging a figure or a point on the coordinate grid, that number is going to be above 1. So our A prime is going to be located at point 42, 54. And in order to make this an actual ordered pair, don't forget that you need to put it in parentheses. So, point 42, 54, again, this is my x, this is my y, this equals A prime. Alright, so still on page 26, now we're going to take a look at exercise 2. The point B is negative 8, 5, and that is dilated by a scale factor of 1/2. So what are the coordinates of B prime? Now, just like what I said with exercise 1, if I take a look at this scale factor of 1/2, that is actually less than 1, so we know that this is going to be a reduction. Now, again, I take each one of these points, my x and my y. My x is negative 8. My y is 5. Okay? And what I have to do is take each one of these numbers and multiply it times my scale factor of 1/2. So if I have negative 8 times 1/2, what is half of negative 8? Well, it's negative 4. So negative 4 is my x. Now with my y, I have 5 times 1/2. And you can either use a calculator or not, you don't necessarily have to, but whenever I multiply 5 times 1/2, I get 5 over 2. That would be my y. So my x is equal to 4, my y is equal to 5 over 2. So B prime is equal to the coordinates negative 4 and 5 over 2. Remember, if you have any questions about anything, please make sure that you write those down in order to ask either myself or Miss James tomorrow. Alright, so now we're going to skip a couple exercises, and we are on page 28. This is exercise 7, and we have this figure here, DEFG, and it's dilated from the origin right here, our 0, 0, by a scale factor of 2/3. So now we're going to have to identify the coordinates of all of our primes and then draw and label the figure on the coordinate plane. So move this up a little bit so you can see the work here. So it says that my scale factor is 2/3. So the first thing that I need to do is find out what all of my points are. And it doesn't matter what order you find them in, you just have to find your x and y for each one of these points. So if I'm finding D, I go back to -6. So my x is -6, my y is 3. Alright, now let's look at E. My E is at -4 and -3. Now F, my F is at +5, -2, and my G is at -3, +3. Now, just like what I did in exercises 1 and 2, we're going to take the scale factor of 2/3 and we're going to multiply it by our x and our y for each one of these coordinate points. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take -6 times 2/3, and this is going to be my x coordinate. And if you have a calculator, you can use that. -6 times 2/3 is equal to -4. So -4 is my x, and looking for my y, I have 3 times 2/3, and whenever I type that in the calculator and solve for it, you get 2. So my coordinates for D prime are -4, 2. So let's go ahead and plot that point, -4, 2. I go over here to -4, up to +2. This is D prime. And I'm going to do the same thing for each one of these, E, F, and G. So again, looking for my x coordinate, -4 times 2/3 equals, this is -2 and 2/3. And the same thing for my y, -3 times 2/3 equals, this is -2. So my E prime would be -2 and 2/3, and then my y, -2. So let's go ahead and plot that one as well. -2 and 2/3 and -2, so it's going to be around this area right here. This is E prime. Now let's take a look at F. I have 5 times 2/3, and for my for my y, I have -2 times 2/3. So let's take a look at what our x is. 5 times 2/3 is equal to 3 1/3. Now this might seem very, very meticulous, but it's the right way to do it. You're never going to get mixed up on what's your x, what's your y, because you're keeping everything together. This is all my x's right here. This is all my y's. So my x coordinate for F prime is 3 1/3, and my y coordinate is -1 1/3. So again, I get to plot that. 3 1/3, -1 1/3. So around in here. And this is F prime. One more to go. I have G left. So I have -3 times 2/3, and I also have 3 times 2/3. And I've already looked up both of those. So -3 times 2/3 is -2, and 3 times 2/3 right here is +2. So my G prime is -2, +2, -2, +2. This is G prime. Now I get to play Connect the Dots, which we all know is Jalen Moss's favorite game to play. And there we have it. So now I would like for you to do exercises 3 through 6. Go back to that first page that we were working on, and then also the problem set 1, 3, and 4. If you have any questions, please write them down on a separate sheet of paper, and we will take a look at this in a couple of days.